Hello, you, and welcome back to Whispers After 50. I'm Francis, and today I'm sharing a chapter of my life that tackles a question many of us might whisper to ourselves as we get older. Am I too old to learn something new? Am I too old to start? For decades, I harbored a secret dream, a quiet yearning to pick up a paintbrush. But insecurity, the persistent fear of not being good enough, and the belief that it was a young person's hobby always held me back. I was always the one cheering others on, never quite stepping onto the stage myself. When I turned 70, a gentle, persistent whisper said, "It's now or never, Francis." Have you ever felt that spark of a new interest, but hesitated because of your age or worried about what others might think? Perhaps you tell yourself, "Oh, I'm just not talented," or "It's too late for me." This isn't just my story. It's an honest look at how one woman who always played it safe decided to defy those deep-seated doubts and take a terrifying leap. I'm going to be completely open about the fear of stepping into that first art class, the awkwardness of being a beginner, and the immense surprising joy I found in discovering a part of myself I thought was long gone. My hope is that my journey can offer you insight and perhaps inspire you to pick up that neglected passion. Let's talk about finding our inner artists even when it feels utterly daunting. For most of my life, my hands were busy with practical things, raising children, tending to my home and my work as a legal secretary. Art was something I admired from afar in museums or on television. I'd buy art supplies, beautiful paints and brushes, but they'd sit untouched in a drawer. I'd tell myself, "I'm not artistic," or "I don't have the talent." The truth was, I was simply afraid. Afraid of failing, afraid of looking foolish, afraid of wasting time on something I might not be good at. The thought of revealing my lack of skill to strangers, or even to myself, was truly paralyzing. When retirement came, the newfound free time sometimes felt like a vast, empty canvas. My children were grown, and my husband Arthur was wonderful, but his hobbies were golf and reading. That old dream of painting began to stir more insistently. It was a quiet tug, a feeling that if I didn't try now, this part of me would never truly awaken. One afternoon, I saw a flyer at the community center for an introduction to watercolor class for seniors. My heart fluttered with a mix of excitement and sheer terror. My first thought was, "Oh, Francis, don't be silly. You're 70. Everyone else will be so much better than you." But then that little whisper nudged again. It said, "What if, just what if?" And to my own surprise, I found myself signing up. Walking into that classroom for the first time felt like stepping onto an alien planet. There were easels, tubes of paint everywhere, and people of all ages, some clearly very experienced. I felt like the proverbial fish out of water, acutely aware of my awkwardness. My hands actually trembled as I held the brush. My first attempts were, well, they were attempts. My apples looked like lumpy potatoes, and my landscapes resembled abstract smudges. I felt a flush of embarrassment every time the instructor, a kind young woman named Chloe, came to look at my work. You might know that feeling when every mistake feels like a public declaration of your inadequacy. It was as if my deepest fears about my own artistic ineptitude were being confirmed with every stroke. I almost quit after the first few lessons. The fear of being judged, the frustration of my hand not doing what my mind envisioned was overwhelming. My biggest red flag was my own inner critic, that voice telling me I wasn't good enough. I'd come home feeling defeated and tuck my paints away, ready to give up. Arthur would ask, "How was art class, dear?" And I'd just say, "Oh, it's fine, just trying something new," while inside, I was battling this quiet despair. The silence of the studio after everyone else had left the stark white of the blank canvas, it felt daunting. I'd look at my messy palette, the muddy colors, and feel a wave of discouragement. I remember one evening, after a particularly frustrating class, I sat on my couch with Arthur. He was engrossed in his newspaper, and I just watched him feeling a pang of loneliness. How could I explain this deep-seated fear and frustration about something so seemingly trivial? It felt silly to even bring up. This internal battle, the push and pull between the quiet longing to create and the loud voice of self-doubt, was exhausting. It felt like I was battling myself, and the self-doubt was winning. That moment of almost quitting, sitting there with my paints packed away, was my true turning point. I paused, took a deep breath, and finally allowed myself to truly listen to that persistent whisper from within. I realized I couldn't let my own fear steal this potential joy and growth from me. It wasn't about becoming a famous artist. It was about the simple act of creating, the inherent challenge and the pure joy of the process itself. I decided then and there to commit not to perfection, but to the journey of learning. This led to my first incredibly vital lesson. It's never ever too late to learn to grow or to passionately pursue a dream. The only true limit is the one you place on yourself. I consciously stopped comparing my work to others. I embraced the ugly paintings, realizing that each one was a stepping stone, a crucial part of my learning process. I began to see that every mistake was just another stroke on the vast evolving canvas of my learning journey. The feeling of pure focus, of losing myself completely in the intricate process of mixing colors and watching them bloom on paper, was incredibly liberating. It was a sense of purpose and deep engagement I hadn't felt since my most fulfilling working days. My second lesson was about embracing the beginner's mindset and wholeheartedly accepting imperfection. This was incredibly hard for someone who always strived for neatness and precision. But in art, imperfection is often where true beauty and uniqueness lie. I learned to laugh good-naturedly at my lumpy potatoes and celebrate the smallest, most incremental improvements. This new perspective, this gentle acceptance of imperfection, began to spill over into other areas of my life. I became more patient with myself, less critical of minor mishaps, and more open to trying new things without the paralyzing pressure of achieving perfection. It was a freedom I hadn't known before. Third, I learned the importance of connecting with others through shared interests regardless of individual skill level. My art class became a wonderful new community. We weren't just painting side by side. We were sharing stories, frustrations, tips, and triumphs. I found new friends who understood the unique joy and challenge of starting something new in later life and who cheered each other on. This wasn't just about painting. It was about companionship, about finding a new tribe, a new sense of belonging outside my immediate family. I remember one evening after class, a few of us stayed behind to share stories. It was comforting to realize we all had a common thread, a hidden passion we were finally brave enough to pursue. These connections were invaluable, filling a space in my life I hadn't even realized was empty. And finally, the most profound lesson. My creativity, my capacity for joy and discovery isn't limited by my age. For so long, I believed those passions belonged to a younger me or to inherently artistic people. But picking up that paintbrush, truly committing to it, unleashed a part of Francis that had been dormant for decades. It was a revelation. It showed me that the spirit of exploration and creativity is ageless. I learned to forgive myself for waiting so long to accept that growth is a lifelong process and that true fulfillment comes from continuously exploring who you are, what you love, and what you're capable of even at 70. The joy I found in creating, the pride in seeing my own progress was immense. It was a silent victory against all those years of self-doubt. My art, no matter how imperfect, became a testament to my courage. My journey to finding my inner artist has been truly transformative. There are still paintings that don't quite turn out, of course, but now they don't feel like failures. They feel like practice, like learning. I've found a rhythm, a balance, and a renewed sense of purpose, not just in creating art, but in actively creating a life that is truly my own, filled with new passions and meaningful connections. I've realized that this chapter, while unexpected, is a powerful testament to the endless capacity of the human spirit to learn, adapt, and find beauty, even for someone who once thought herself too hesitant to even begin. So, if you're holding on to a secret dream, a quiet curiosity about a new hobby or activity, or if you're wrestling with the thought that you're too old to learn, know this: you are not alone. And more importantly, you are absolutely capable. My journey taught me that while starting something new later in life can feel incredibly daunting, the rewards, the immense joy of creation, the unexpected connections, the sheer pride of trying something new are immeasurable. Remember, finding your passion doesn't mean you have to become an expert. It's about the process, the learning, the engagement. It's about opening yourself up to new possibilities even when it feels scary. Take that first step, join that class, pick up that instrument, or write that story you've always dreamed of. Your inner artist, your hidden talent, is just waiting for you to give it a chance. Have you ever overcome the fear of trying something new in later life? What new hobbies or activities have you discovered that brought you unexpected joy? Or what advice would you give to someone who feels too old to start their own journey? Please share your stories and your wisdom in the comments below. Your insights could truly light the way for someone else and inspire them to take their own leap of faith. If this story resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Whispers After 50 for more authentic conversations about our life's beautiful journey. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Thank you for watching, and always remember, every whisper of experience holds invaluable wisdom.